I am 90 years old. I am sitting in this drafty 24-hour laundromat at 3 in the morning because I am the only one left in my generation who still knows exactly who he is. And I have to tell you how to stop your mind from erasing you while you are still breathing. Most people my age are already ghosts. I visit them in those quiet, sterile homes, and I see the blankness in their eyes, the look of a house where the lights are on, but the owner moved out years ago. They didn't just lose their memories to a disease. They invited the fog in, one comfortable, mindless choice at a time. I'm sitting here among these vibrating machines because I've realized that staying here isn't a matter of luck. It's a war you fight against your own habits, and if you don't start fighting it now, the silence will swallow you long before you're dead. I'm going to give you the 8 things I've learned about keeping the lights on. These aren't theories. They are the reasons I can still look in the mirror and recognize the man staring back. I spent 40 years as a civil servant, a man of lists and schedules. I walked the same 3 blocks to the station, sat at the same desk, and ate the same ham sandwich for 25 years. I thought I was being reliable, but looking back, I was just putting my brain into a coma. I was living on a loop. The first thing you have to understand is that you must kill the autopilot. When you do the same thing every day, you are telling your brain it isn't needed anymore. You have to force yourself to be clumsy again. I started taking different routes home. I started brushing my teeth with my left hand. I did anything that made my brain wake up and shout, "Wait, what are we doing?" If you don't use the map in your head, the ink eventually fades until there's nothing left to read. The second thing is to stop the inner shouting. I spent half my life in a state of constant, low-level panic, worrying about the mortgage, the promotion, or what the neighbors thought of my lawn. I realized too late that stress is like acid for the mind. It eats away at the connections. You think you're being driven, but you're just eroding the very thing that makes you you. You have to learn to let the world be messy without letting that mess live inside your skull. A mind that is always shouting has no room left to remember. Third, you must find a witness and be one. Loneliness isn't just a sad feeling, it's a biological rot. I watched my brother Henry retire and simply stop. He stopped talking to anyone who didn't live in his television. Within 2 years, his vocabulary had shrunk to the size of a child's. You need deep, difficult conversations to keep your language alive. You need other people to remind you who you are, or you will eventually forget the sound of your own voice. Fourth, move your blood. I don't mean the gym. I mean the simple act of walking. I see people half my age sit in chairs until they become part of the furniture. If the blood doesn't reach the attic, the house starts to decay. I walk every single day until my thoughts settle. I walk until I see something I didn't notice before. A bird, a crack in the sidewalk, the way the light hits the trees. If the machine stops moving, the mind stops thinking. The fifth thing is to read something that hurts. Not the news. The news just makes you angry, and anger is an easy, lazy emotion. Read something that makes you think, something that challenges the way you see the world. I spent too many years reading things that just confirmed what I already believed. That's not reading. That's just looking in a mirror. You need to keep the gears of your mind grinding against something hard, or they'll eventually just smooth over and stop catching. Sixth, find a why that has nothing to do with a paycheck. When I retired, I felt my mind start to slide because I didn't have a goal anymore. I had to find something to care about that didn't involve money or status. For me, it was fixing old clocks. For you, it might be something else. But if you don't have a reason to get out of bed that requires your focus, your brain will take the hint and start shutting down the power. Seventh, you have to forgive your own mistakes. This isn't about being nice. It's about mental space. I've seen people rot from the inside out because they couldn't let go of a grudge or a failure from 30 years ago. Guilt and shame are heavy, and they take up a lot of room that should be used for the present. You have to clear the wreckage of the past to make room for today. A cluttered mind is a tired mind, and a tired mind is where the fog starts. And finally, the eighth, don't assume there is later. I lived my whole life as if the real part would happen once I reached some invisible finish line. I delayed the joy and the presence. But the finish line is just a cliff. If you don't practice being awake now, you won't know how to do it when time is running out. I'm 90. And my memory isn't what it was. Sometimes I walk into a room, and the reason for being there evaporates like mist. But I am still here. I am still fighting. I am sitting in this laundromat because the vibration of these machines reminds me that the world is still turning, and I want to be awake to feel it. I wish I had known at 50 that the mind isn't a vault you fill up. It's a fire you have to keep feeding. If you stop bringing the wood, the cold will come, and it comes faster than you think. You don't realize you're losing your mind until the door has already locked behind you. My dryer is almost finished. I'll walk home in the dark, and I'll try to notice the way the street lights hit the wet pavement. It's a small thing, but it's a new thing. And as long as I'm looking for the new, I'm still in the room. If this meant something to you, maybe just take a different way home today, or call someone and ask them a question you've never asked before. It's not much, but it's a start, and a start is all you ever really have. Take care of your heads. It's the only place you'll ever truly live.